to round one of the last chance qualifier for the Super League Championships. I'm joined by David Williams. We're getting ready to watch Owen Turtenwald against Reed Duke. This should be a fun one. What do you think of these hands, David?
All right, so let's see. Reed's first, so let's check his hand out. I got to move our cameras a little bit there in the way. Okay. He's got land. He's got an early anticipate to sort of smooth out his draw. And he's got the most important card of the matchup, I think, which is a turn 2 Jace. He's also got an Ugin, which you don't really want in your hand, an opening hand, and a dig through time, and he doesn't have many fetch lands. So he does have 2 cards that aren't going to be able to do anything to the late game. But with Anticipate and Jace, you know, he's going to get some cards in the graveyard for that dig through time, so that's great. Owen's hand also has a turn 2 Jace, and Reed doesn't have a way to deal with it, and I think it's actually better for Owen. Like, if they both land one early, I think Owen gets the advantage earlier. So, it seems like Reed's hand stuff is on the bottom, but Reed's playfield is on the top.
Yes, we are backwards. We'll get that swapped around for you guys.
But Owen has great mana. He's able to play a Jace on turn 2 and a Manus Rider on turn 3. He's got Dispel backup if Reed doesn't have an answer immediately to kill the Jace, which is going to allow his Jace to stay alive until it flips. So right now, Owen's hand is looking great. I mean, Dispel already is really powerful against Reed because pretty much most of his deck is instants. I mean, look at both his cards in his hand that he can cast anytime soon. Both can easily just get dispelled. And when you can answer a spell that costs anywhere from 2 to 8 mana, or you're delving for a 1 mana instant, you're really getting an edge. So Reed, it's a little confusing, guys, but remember the hands are on the opposite side. Looks like Reed will be able to utter end the Jace, but that's just going to get dispelled unless Owen taps out for Manus Rider.
Wait, are they backwards? Oh, the field is backwards.
Yes. The top field is Reed, but his hand is on the bottom for everyone watching.
Yeah. Owen's name is next to his hand.
So let's see. It looks like Reed is in the tank on what to discard here. You know, I would probably go with Ugin because it's not going to come out anytime soon, and you can find another or your Haven. I mean, Utter End's going to be great for you trying to get rid of the Jace. Anticipate you could say, but you really want Dig Through Time. So yeah, he goes ahead and gets rid of the 8-drop. It doesn't really have a lot of value in your opening hand. It is pretty dip. Some people in the comment, just for those of you just joining us, the hands are flip-flopped. The top field is Reed, and his hand is at the bottom. So Reed is able to keep his mana up. He's got Clash of Wills if he needs it, and Anticipate if nothing happens. Now, Owen's got a tough choice here. I mean, if he does tap out for Manus Rider, he is vulnerable to Reed fetching a Sunken Hollow, untapping. Although Reed doesn't have a way to get black-white 2 colorless on turn 4. Because if he searches out Sunken Hollow right now, his Prairie Stream won't enter the battlefield untapped because he only has 1 basic. If he gets a basic, he doesn't have black mana. So Reed's actually going to have to find black mana if he wants to utter end if Owen taps out for Mantis Rider.
Every hand can be a little puzzle. Fetch land, battle land.
I think Owen is going to go for the Mantis Rider. I mean, even though you're up against the control deck, a lot of times you just want to play it because it's only going to get worse the longer you wait, and you tie them up. If you don't make them counter, then they're able to anticipate and smooth their draws. And then in the late game, they can do both because they have enough mana. So it's at least in the early game, if you do get your Manus Rider countered, your opponent's not able to do things like anticipate for a swamp or for a black mana that he needs right now. So it's interesting.
He does have the Clash of Wills, so that's a pretty easy target.
It's going to be interesting to see if Reed waits to see if he draws a basic or another fetch land so that he could do it, or do this now so that if he draws any land that comes into play untapped, he can utter end. So it looks like he went with that choice, and he was rewarded. Now Flooded Strand. Turns out he could have done it the other way also. He could have waited, Flooded Stranded for a basic, and then used the second one to get out the Sunken Hollow. But this way, he's able to utter in the Jace 1 turn before it flips, because Owen's got 4 cards in the graveyard. And he's actually also able to flip his own before Owen was able to find a removal spell for it, which makes me, you know, Owen could have Kolaghan's Commanded and tried to do 2 damage to the Jace before it flipped, but then he would have also ran into the same Clash of Wills.
So we've got the graphics moved to the right sides, but the hand cams themselves need to be flipped. That's all that's left wrong right now.
All right, yeah, so the names are correct, but now the hand cams are off, but we'll have that fixed momentarily. So now Murderous Cut is actually amazing because it doesn't require him to tap all his mana if he wants to remove the Jace. I still think you might just utter in now
Yeah.
save the Murderous Cut for later so that you're able to do something like dig through time and cut or anticipate or just counter and Murderous Cut. I mean, you have 4 mana available right now. You might as well use it. And he doesn't have a counter spell he was going to cast anyways. The only problem is the Dig Through Time and the Murderous Cut are fighting for the same resource, but eventually he'll just have 5 mana and be able to cast the Murderous Cut as is. And getting Utter End in your graveyard with Jace, you're able to Utter End again if you need to.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of said we thought this matchup would be in Reed's favor, but I mean, it looks kind of crazily in Reed's favor here so far.
Well, I mean, he does have to resolve Jace, which I think is all that matters, and does swing it. But Owen does have 2 dispels to stop, the dig through time. And if the anticipate, if he chooses, I don't think you would use it on anticipate. I think you'd save your dispels for either dig through time or fighting other counter spells, or maybe keeping a Jace alive. But Owen is going to be able to resolve some things and stop the dig through time. So it's just a matter of finding a way to get rid of that Jace. But with it being on 7 loyalty, it's going to be pretty hard. Oh, and we got everything is synced up correctly. The names, the sides of the board, the hands. So looks like Owen is at the end of Reed's turn returning a Mantis Rider to his hand, and possibly is he making Reed discard or is he doing 2 to the Jace? Probably making him discard because 2 to the Jace doesn't help you here.
And then he gets to go. He does get to go Mantis Rider with Dispel, right?
Right, and he actually was able to dispel at the end of that turn if he wanted to. He looks like he did 2 to the Jace.
Okay.
Which is nice because the lower you keep that loyalty, the harder it is for him to -3 it and use spells. If he leaves it really high, he can do that twice. As is, he can only do it once, and with you attacking with the Mantis Rider, you're going to put it down to 2, hopefully. And now he's going to be able to dispel, but it is going to tap him out and allow Reed to main phase dig through time for only 2 mana and leave up 2 more mana if he'd like.
Still, I mean, he's fighting a good fight. He gets to knock Jace. Presumably, he attacked Jace, which we see that he did.
Right.
So Jace is down to 2 loyalty.
Which is another reason why it's great that he commanded the Jace as opposed to making him discard, because Jace would be at 4 loyalty, and then he'd be able to flash back and Murderous Cut again or ultimate Utter End. So that's another reason why keeping the Planeswalker low, even though you think, oh, it's at 7, it's pretty much out of control, but it is important to keep it low so that you can stop him from using the -3 ability. And here goes that dig through time. Now, it's interesting also, it's such a struggle with all the Delve and the Jace ability. It's like, what cards do you want to leave in your graveyard? It looks like he's just going to tap out.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. He's going to tap 5 mana for the digs just so that he can leave more toys for Jace.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at his deck list, he only has 1 Murderous Cut main, and the ultimate prices can't kill the Mantis Rider. I think if he had something he could draw that could kill the Mantis Rider so that he could protect his Jace, he would do it. But it looks like he didn't have anything in his deck list from me seeing it that could stop this Mantis Rider anyways if he's going to tap 2 blue. So you might as well just tap it all and save that resource for future Jaces, future Dig Through Times, and Murderous Cut.
Man, if I wanted to draw a red source there for Sarkhan, he'd be in great shape. Still seems like he's in good shape.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, Jace resolved, but those dispels are going to be backbreaking. And when you're able to answer a spell that costs way more than 1 for 1 and still develop your board and do things, it puts you at quite an advantage. So he's going to dig through time here, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him include taking a mana source so that he can either Jace or leave up Dispel, because Crackling Doom is not going to do anything for you right now, and you can't really play Sarkhan. So you want some lands so that you can eventually do, Jace and Sarkhan. If he finds a blue mana, he might just leave up Dispel and wait till next turn when he can play his Jace and also still have Dispel backup.
Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of directions he can go depending on what he finds on this dig.
Right, because he does know that Reed has Planar Outburst in his deck list, so if he were to find a blue mana and play Jace, then all of a sudden he gets wrecked if he just gets Planar Outburst, and all of a sudden he's got nothing on the board. And there's no land he can find that makes both blue this turn and red next turn for Sarkhan so that he could follow up. If there was a blue-red duel, he could play Jace. If he gets Wrath, he could drop Sarkhan and attack. So,
Crackling Doom. Monastery Mentor? Is that what I heard? Mystic Monastery, sorry. Misheard.
Okay. So it looks like he saw a Crackling Doom, a Kolaghan's Command, a Mystic Monastery, the land, Island, Bloodstained Mire, and a Wild Slash. So not really anything you really want in there. Like I said, I think he might actually take a land.
Not crazy.
I I mean, it wouldn't be unheard of. He knows better than I. He might get a red source and a blue source. But no, he got a red source and a Kolagon's command. Kolagon's command is great in the situation. And now he can get either a Sunken Hollow if he needs it or a red for Sarkin. So Bloodstained Mire he can play and leave up and decide if he needs to Dispel. In an emergency, get a Sunken Hollow. And if he doesn't, he can get a Mountain and play Sarkin next turn. So I would
Mantis Rider hits Jace for 1 there. The plus ability for Jace had shrunk it, of course. So now Kolagon's command can actually finish off Jace. It seems like you just do that main phase, right?
So now he's going to, I think he's just going to take it out. He could actually Crackling Doom him. Yeah, I was going to suggest this play. Crackling Doom doesn't have a lot of utility in this matchup as far as getting rid of creatures because he does have Jace in his deck, but it does do 2 damage, which is nice to kill the Planeswalker in that spot. So I think he'd wait, save his Kolagon's command in case he actually needs to kill a Jace later or bring back a creature or do, it's just more versatile.
That'll make sense. Now what does Reed do? Dig again?
Yeah, this is rough. I mean, getting rid of permanents. Let's see. He's got 6 cards in the graveyard, and he's got 5 blue sources. Oh, it's on Owen's turn. Yeah, Reed just passed.
Top-deck Mantis Rider.
Yeah, Reed is able to Ojutai's command, and he can actually bring back a Jace. Because at the end of the day, these blue-on-blue matchups are really about who gets the most value from their Jaces.
Yeah, and presumably this is going to get dispelled. This Ojutai's command is just so much card advantage.
Yeah, I mean, being able to stop their creature and bring back a creature, and it puts it into play. You don't even have to cast the Jace anymore, and then next turn you get to untap and have it ready to go. Unfortunate for him, like I said, these dispels are just backbreaking.
Main deck Dispel is doing some work here for sure.
I mean, you realize I said Sam altered the green-white deck the morning of. The only blue he added to the main besides the mainland was 2 dispels. I mean, our whole team thought Dispel was going to be the most best positioned card in the Pro Tour because every deck is all in on instants.
It's a great point. We're seeing it here. Main deck Dispel. That is the standard world we live in right now.
I had definitely decided whatever deck I was playing this week in this event was going to have at least 2 Dispel main. I kind of wanted to just make a deck with tons of them because I feel like Dispel, Murderous Cut, I feel like these cards are very just well positioned right now. A lot of people have a lot of fetch lands and have excess cards in their graveyard, so I think Murderous Cut is great. It kills any creature. So just like Dispel, it's something you can do for 1 mana to really kind of get that tempo advantage. So he found a Planar Outburst, which is amazing against 2 Mantis Riders. He's not going to be able to do anything about the Sarkin that comes down that follows it up. So someone in the chat said Dispel is great unless you're against Abzan or Green-White Megamorph, but I actually disagree. And I mean, especially running 2. I mean, Abzan has Abzan Charm, which is one of the best cards in the deck, and Dramoka's Command, which is speaking of Dramoka's Command, which is also in the Green-White Megamorph deck. Whenever I played that deck, I felt great anytime I had a Dramoka's Command. When I didn't, I felt like I couldn't win. So I kind of disagree with Kanech91's comment about those 2 decks. I think Dispel right now is pretty much good against every deck, especially a Tarka Red. So he goes ahead and casts the Planar Outburst. He doesn't have enough mana to cast Dig Through Time. He can bluff a counterspell and leave up Anticipate, but I think Owen's probably going to go for the Sarkin. He could play Jace and the Soulfire because he knows there's only one. No, there's 2 Planar Outbursts, so it's unlikely he has another.
Reed's really representing here.
What's that?
Clash of Wills is a reason not to tap out, right?
Right, I think that's the thing. And he's playing 4, so if you play Sarkin and he Clash of Wills, he gets the tempo advantage because now you have no board and he gets to untap his mana. So that being said, I think he might lead with Jace because besides, Sulamgar's command, which he doesn't have a dragon to show, there's no way to really counter it. He could kill it. So maybe you lead with Jace and then Soulfire and pass, or just Jace and leave up Kolagon's command.
I think I play 2 2-drops here.
Yeah, I like getting the 2 drops on the board. I mean, Reed is at 11, and he does have to deal with both of them. And if he's able to deal with the Jace, you still have a 2-2 beating down. And if you get to 7 mana, you can buy back Kolagon's command.
Wow. Owen just taps out for Sarkin.
Yeah, Owen had the
way to read him for no Clash of Wills? Was there a previous turn where he got this evidence?
Yeah, I mean, I'm guessing the way the game flow has gone, he's kind of predicted he didn't have Clash of Wills, and he couldn't afford to take one off the Dig Through Time because he was looking for answers.
Luis in the chat says he likes slamming Sarkin here too.
Yeah, no, I mean, my instincts would have been to play it, but I was definitely, once I started talking about it, I kind of thought it through and felt like 2 2-drops might have been better.
Yeah,
but
I think.
Owen is a master. Now, look, negate comes down, which could have stopped the Sarkhan for 2 mana.
Yep, I forgot about the main deck negate.
But unfortunately, once the Sarkhan is here, he doesn't have an answer to Sarkhan. He's really going to have to dig and try to find an Utter End.
Pretty much.
He does have 7 mana, so theoretically he could find an 8th mana and an Ugin, and next turn pray. Actually, there's nothing in Owen's deck that counterspells Ugin, so he could drop Ugin and -5 it, get rid of the Sarkhan, but he's going to be at 2 life.
Yeah, he's going to be at 2 life. His opponent happens to have Kolaghan's command.
So he's just dead. But I'm saying from his point of view, he'd be like, he has no burn. I can go to 2 and get Ugin out, and then once I untap, I'll have negate and dig through time. But I don't think you want to do that. I think he's going to have to just try to look for like an Utter End, maybe an Utter End and an Ugin, and hope he draws a land. Utter End the Sarkhan now, untap land Ugin is kind of the hope here, I think. What is he? Do we know what he's looking at with the dig through time? So there's an ultimate price, a scatter the wind, some land, and an anticipate. He took the ultimate price, although Sarkhan is indestructible, no? I know that Gideon says prevent damage, but does Sarkhan say it's indestructible or prevent damage?
I believe it's indestructible.
Let me look that up.
Yeah,
Sarkhan's indestructible, so the ultimate price is not really going to help him there either. So he's in some trouble.
I mean, he's got the anticipate.
He does play 2 Ugins. Someone asked, didn't he delve away an Ugin? He does have another.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does have 6 mana.
Away. I know when he discarded it, he can often get it back with the Haven, but he delved it away, so.
He does have 6 mana, so he can find his ultimate price. I mean, his Utter End. I keep calling it ultimate price. He can find his Utter End.
How many Utter Ends does he play? Because he went through one of those already, right? Or was that Owen?
He plays 2. He does have a second. He plays 2. Owen plays 1. So I wonder what he's thinking. I wonder if he's thinking, okay, so he's going to Shambling Vent, which is going to put it back up to 8 and leave up the gate. It leaves up, and he leaves him up 3 options. Because I think he realized he probably doesn't need to cast 2. Gaining 2 life keeps him alive from the Kolaghan's command, and it puts Sarkhan down to 3 loyalty.
I mean, it's not just Kolaghan's command, right? There's also Wild Slashes that could.
Right, no, there's burn in his deck. There's lots of things that do too. Even though he does have anticipate and both dispels are cast, he still doesn't want to run into that getting burned and having to use his negate on burn right now.
Gets a cheeky little attack. I think that's super smart. Now if he anticipates into Ugin, he's actually kind of mostly fine.
Yeah, and he has 8 mana. So yeah, this is huge for him right now. He does only have 1.
To anticipate into Ugin. I mean, there's not much else that helps him, but like the bottom 10 cards he's seen off dig through time. So
if he finds the Utter End, he can ultimate price the Jace, Utter End the Sarkhan, and then he has negate backup because he has 8 mana. So he could find
Ojutai's command. That's not good enough.
Yeah, I mean Ojutai's command can put him back up to 8 if he chooses to gain 4. So while he's tapped out, Owen's going to go ahead and do 2 to him and bring back a Manus Rider, which is amazing because if he somehow clears the board, the negate won't be able to stop the Manus Rider or the ultimate price. So he kind of has to. He's fighting Reed on 3 axes. He has the Jason play that needs to be dealt with, the Sarkhan Planeswalker that needs to be dealt with, and the haste creature in his hand that needs to be dealt with. So he's really kind of put Reed up against it.
That was a well-played game of Magic by both sides, I'd say, but I mean especially by Owen. He's just, like you say, maneuvered to beat him on 3 different axes.
Yeah, I mean, this is why Owen is one of the best players in the world. He doesn't cut you any slack. He doesn't make mistakes. He sees all the angles. He plays great. I mean,
yeah, that number 5 ranking in front of his name will presumably get even lower once the ratings get updated after his top 8 at the Pro Tour last weekend.
So it looks like he's going to go ahead and kill the Jace. He knows he needs to
guess his big plan is Ojutai's command to gain 4 life.
Yeah, so the funny part is if Owen wants to pre-combat Manus Rider, which you do because it has haste, then he gets to gain 4 and counter it. If you want to force him to gain 4, you could attack with the Sarkhan, and he would be forced to gain 4 and just like draw a card or return. He doesn't have anything to return. But then you could land your Manus Rider, but then he has a turn to kind of find an answer again. So it's a weird little dance.
You're right. That is a crazy dance. Is Owen going to decline? And Owen knows that Reed knows that he has a Mantis Rider because he got it back face up with the Kolaghan's command. That is a cute little dance.
So
And
it's
Owen
like,
sees through it.
yeah,
He's
Owen
just
knows because Owen knows he knows the only way is to either utter end this planeswalker or gain 4. More likely he's going to gain 4. So if he's going to gain 4, why let him get a free counterspell? Why let him, buy?
unbelievable.
Although he still kind of buys a turn. Either way, it buys a turn, but at least you have your Mantis Rider in play with your planeswalker.
Right. Ojutai's command was buying a turn either way, but Owen is just up a Mantis Rider.
And there is the utter end.
The other end.
But now he doesn't have an answer for the Mantis Rider. So he does have a Polluted Delta, so he can go to 1 and dig through time because he'll have exactly 5 cards and 3 mana. But he's going to have to deal with he's going to have to deal with this, a Mantis Rider in hand and a Planeswalker. We're back in the same position again where he has to deal with a Planeswalker, a creature in play, and a creature with haste in hand.
How many planar outbursts does Reed play?
He does play 2, so he could find another, but again, that just is an expensive ultimate price, right? It only deals with the
you're right.
Grandmaster.
Yeah, the Ugin would at least deal with Sarkhan. That's probably his best find.
But no, because if he taps out for Ugin, he just dies to Mantis Rider.
God.
Yeah, I see he's going to have to go to 1 and dig through time.
He's got 9 lands. If he comes up with Ugin and a land, no negate doesn't help.
No, I don't know what he can do. I'm trying to think of a way out of this, but with having a haste creature in hand and being at 1.
Yeah, I don't see it either.
Because you can.
Jace, 2 Ojutai's command.
So there's a Jace, a Treasure Cruise, an Ojutai's command, and Sulamgar's command. So he could Sulamgar's command and bounce the Planeswalker, give a creature -3/-3, and then also have Utter End and Negate. So I think if you Sulamgar's command, you can cast that in Utter End and deal with 3 permanents, because 1 you can bounce, 1 you can kill with the command, and 1 you can exile. So actually, I think Sulamgar's command does it.
I forgot about Sulamgar's command. That does seem like the answer. It's a 1 of.
Oh, and Sulamgar's command says kill a Planeswalker. So it's actually perfect.
Oh,
he can
wow.
kill a Planeswalker, -3 a creature, and Utter End another creature. I forgot about that mode on Sulamgar's command. Actually, he can leave up Ojutai's command, so he can now Sulamgar's command to deal with both permanents on board and leave up Ojutai's command, Utter End, and Negate.
Wow.
It's funny. We go through all this, and he's probably just going to top deck like a Wild Slash and be able to sneak it through at some point. But it looks like Reed might have turned the corner, especially now. Once he does this, he can start getting him a Shambling Vent the next turn and gaining his life and getting above 2. I had totally forgot about that mode on Sulamgar's command. I was thinking bounce it, but yeah, one of the modes is kill a Planeswalker. It's so rare that you see that card because it doesn't get played as much as the other commands.
Yeah, and it's only one of even in Reed's list.
All the other 4 commands are in so many decks, right? They're super popular, but Sulamgar's command you don't see.
Yeah, 9 mana is enough for Ojutai and Sulamgar's commands. Crazy.
This is unbelievable that Reed has navigated his way back to where, even though he's at 1, I think he's the favorite right now. He's even got a negate for a burn spell.
I mean, he'll have to. He will have to tap out. Like if Owen top decks a burn spell, I think.
Right, I would say Owen has pretty much this 1 draw phase to find something, but even then, he can gain 4 from the Ojutai's command, right?
Well, but if Owen times it right, he'll respond to the Ojutai's command with the burn spell.
Yeah.
Right, could be a Crackling Doom, could be a Wild Slash.
So basically, Owen has this draw phase to find a sort of must-answer spell because he's already going to be forced to tap out.
Yeah,
and then if he doesn't, I think Reed has turned the corner.
I think I agree with you. And Reed's thinking during his main phase right now. He's trying to figure out if he needs to commit to any of this now.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's the fear. He knows Owen's already played 2 Dispels, and I'm sure he's looking at Owen's deck list. But if you know he's played 2 Dispels, I don't think there's really much you can worry about.
Yeah, and he should remember that the card is a Mantis Rider because that Owen got it back off of Kalagan's command, so he knows Owen's 1 card.
Right, he knows his hand is Mantis Rider, and he knows that there's 2 Dispels that are gone. So there's no reason to do it now, I don't think.
Well, he could top deck something that he could buy back with the Grandmaster. I think is the reason to do it now.
Oh, yeah, very true. Oh, wow.
Tasigur, what does that do?
Well, actually, not much with the Utter End because it doesn't have an immediate impact. I mean, I guess it does in the ability, but he doesn't have mana to play Mantis Rider, Tastiger, and activate Tastiger. That would require. Actually, does he? Let's see. Nope.
No, he's one
He has
short.
7. That would require 8. So he will be able to exile it if he needs to, which I think he will because it's that important. Like this is going to get countered and probably gain 4 life because you don't want to be at 1 so that future burn spells don't get you. Looks like he's deciding between gaining 4 life and drawing a card, but I think you want to gain 4 life here when you're at 1 against the deck with Wild Slashes and Cold.
He's holding a negate. He's going for the card, I think.
Let's see. What is... Does it say which ones are highlighted?
Yeah, I think if we zoomed in on the thing on the stack, we could see it.
He's drawing a card. Wow. Very gutsy. Like I said, I don't claim to know any better than Reed. This is his deck, and he knows it well. But I think I would have just played the safe route because now you have to counter every Wild Slash and be worried about those sneaking in on you, whereas you wouldn't have to really worry about that at all if you're at 5. At 5, Wild Slash you no longer care anymore. So he's going to be able to, it's if he had 8 mana, then he could get an activation out of it, but he can't. I guess he doesn't really need the life because he does have Shambling Vent.
He would have lost to a burn spell in hand anyway because it would have been done as a response. So
Right. But I think because he has Shambling Vent, it's fine. He doesn't have to worry about future Wild Slashes. That is true. And he actually has the mana to leave up Scatter if he needs it.
Wow, what a game.
Yeah, the chat makes a good point. And I just realized with no cards in hand, I'm not sure why he didn't just tap those 3 for Tastiger unless he wanted to exile some bad cards.
He actually wanted to get the bad stuff out of his graveyard.
Right. He wanted to get the stuff out that...
He's trying to set up for future Tastiger activations to get better stuff. So
you're correct. I forgot about that. I forgot they have a choice. It's not just regrow a card that you want.
Yeah. That would potentially have been good, but wait, that's a polluted Delta, right? Did gain the life, so he can crack polluted Delta.
Yeah.
Hilarious. Back down to 2, though.
And this must be countered.
Oh, yeah. Again, though, Reed not in danger of dying to a 2 damage spell because he'll get to attack the Shambling Vent again on his turn. That 1 of Shambling Vent is gaining him some extremely relevant life here.
Yeah, we found in our Esper list that Shambling Vent was one of the most important cards, and we loved it. And I think our list had 3.
Here comes the land. 2 more life. Crackling Doom. Ha!
Well, he can kill the Shambling Vent unless Reed's going to negate it if he can.
Yeah, he's going to run into a negate, but
he may not find that important enough, but I think he will because the Shambling Vent gaining 2 life is countering all future burn spells.
Yeah, I think you negate. I mean, we'll see what Reed does here. Especially now that he's going to... Well, he does have a clash, but...
Oh, now with a clash, he can't clash anything cheap right now, but once that majoring network gets up, pretty much it'll be just counterspell.
He can clash for 5 and still have up negate. Yeah, you clash for 5 and leave up negates with the last 2 mana.
Yeah. Well, he's going to... Yep. Go ahead and clash right now.
You even get to leave up majoring network to charge up. Well, Jace does not have an immediate answer.
Yeah, Jace is actually going to be tough. I mean, if it flips, he's able to flash back. But the thing is, what can he flash back? Crackling Doom is an instant. I mean, on your own turn doesn't really do anything. Reed's life is getting so high. I don't really think it matters at this point.
I got to imagine flipping a Jace here is good.
It's not bad, but I actually don't think it's backbreaking like it was.
And now Reed's threatening to flip a Jace of his own. The loot ability is not even terrible here.
I mean, look, he's got, what does he have? Kolaghan's Command, Crackling Doom. You can't get back.
Kolaghan's Command kills Jace, potentially.
Right, he is going to be able to kill his Jace, but then he's going to have...
It's going to beat a negate is what it's going to do.
Yeah,
I would
Jace
think.
flipping is way more advantageous for Reed right here because this graveyard has so many instants in it, spells he can cast. It has an Utter End, an Ojutai's command, a Sulamgar's command, so he can gain 4, draw cards, kill a Planeswalker. I mean, it's huge for Reed right here.
Funny,
Looks like he is.
he can Crackling Doom, but the problem is Reed could activate the land as a response. So he just goes for the Kolaghan's command, which whatever
Well, the Kolaghan's command also gets him a Mantis Rider, and then he can cast it right now and attack, assuming it would resolve, because he did choose to return a Mantis Rider with it.
Now another Merfolk Looter.
Which is nice because you would, I think Reed most likely would have flipped and then destroyed the Jace, but now if he destroys it, he just got another Jace right back. Although he can use Sulamgar's command to destroy a Planeswalker and give that Jace -3/-3 if he wants. So this new ability on this card that I totally forgot about is hugely relevant.
This game is crazy.
Ooh, notice Ephro pointed out in the chat, Reed only has 18 minutes left on his clock.
I have noticed that. He's spent half his clock on this game so far.
There have been some turns where he's been in the tank pretty deep.
Yeah.
So it looks like he's flashing back and digging through time.
That's what it looks like. He should still have an Ugin in his deck, right? He's now seen his entire deck, I believe.
Yeah, I just think with that hand, I guess he doesn't really care about the Jace right now. He can always ultimate price the baby Jace. I think I might have just flashed back Sulamgar's command and just taken out both his cards while he has no cards in hand, but
it was lands and a Ration Cleric in addition to the Cruise and the Planar Outburst.
So, the Planar Outburst can make a 4/4 haste, which might end this game in a few turns.
Owen is at 7.
Yeah, here he goes. He's waking up the giant.
Hilarious. Kill one Jace and kill the other. He didn't want to do it with Silumgar's command. He wants to do it with a Planar Outburst.
Yeah, I think you go ahead. Yeah, you just go ahead and kill the Jace.
I guess. Maybe you hit Owen for 4. He's getting an attack for lethal next turn. Like, what is Jace going to do on 2 loyalty?
Yeah, Jace on 2 loyalty. Well, it can make the land a 2/2, and all of a sudden you don't kill him.
But then Shambling Vent joins the attack, and it's still lethal.
Yeah, so I actually don't think you attack the Jace. I think you put him to 5, because plussing Jace doesn't really do anything to help the situation. Although, every time you don't kill a Planeswalker, somehow a game spirals out of control. And Cube, many times, playing an aggro deck, I've not killed a Planeswalker and then regretted it. I'm like, just always kill the Planeswalker. It's like a mantra, like bolt the bird. Always just bolt the damn bird. When they play a turn 1 bird and you wonder, just bolt the bird.
I understand completely. He did kill the Jace.
I think it actually ends up giving him a turn, the way you described it, but you know what? Just kill the damn Planeswalker. Let's just get it out of here and not worry about it. Yes, he could have put that on the Shambling Vent, so then now when he activated it, it would be a 6/5, and he could gain life, but then you have your eggs in a basket, and one like top deck Kolaghan's command, Crackling Doom, takes out both your threats, whereas when you diversify right now, even if he Crackling Dooms, you still got your Shambling Vent.
What a great game of Magic.
No, well played by both, like you said. Owen was playing excellent, and he had the advantage, and Reed was able to navigate his way out, and now look at this. He's got Ugin out, Owen's got nothing. You can call this game. This is over.
Lightning Bolt for the win. Wow.
Just well played by Reed. And this is why I said Reed's tweet about when I'm lucky and, Owen's blindfolded, I'm 50. Reed was selling himself short. Reed's a very humble guy.
He is.
And it's not, and he really looks up to Owen and knows that Owen's a great player. So I'm not shocked to see that tweet. But I think we all knew that Reed is more than capable of hanging in there and battling with Owen. Let's take a look at these sideboards.
Yeah, hopefully we can watch the player's sideboard rather than just look at the deck lists. You see anything on the deck lists?
So I'm looking at Owen's, Dragon Master Outcast. I'm just going to go down the list. It seems interesting. It is a must answer because the games are going to go late. And when you play it, it has to be dealt with. And it's kind of a threat you can just put out by itself for 1 mana and just let it, hey, deal with this and I'll present you another. Obviously, there's no need for a Ration Clerics. And I didn't see anything for Felidar Cub. He doesn't have the Silk Wraps and Stasis Snares like most of the decks. Disdainful Stroke is nice against Ugin, Dig Through Time, other counter spells, Clash of Wills for 3 or more, so I could definitely see that coming in. Duress is always excellent against control decks. Exert Influence doesn't really have much of a use. Can't even steal their Jace because when it flips, it goes back to their opponent. and as does Radiant Flames and Roast have not much use. So I see the duresses for sure coming in. Oh, are we watching them actually sideboard live?
Yep.
Oh, we didn't do this back in the Vintage Super League, so I didn't know that.
We just added it with the last show.
Okay, I missed the last show. So yeah, we don't have to speculate anymore. So he's got those duresses in the main deck. I can't read. What are the two mana spells behind Jace? Are those Disdainful Strokes or no?
I think so.
As far as Reed's side,
those were the Anticipates.
as far as Reed's sideboard, I think he brings in the Dispels of his own, possibly. Maybe a Murderous Cut to give him a cheap answer to a threat. You could say Surge of Righteousness, but I don't think you need it because it's too narrow. It only really deals with Mantis Rider, and it's dead a lot of the other times. Dragon Lord Sulangar seems interesting because it seems really hard for the Dark Jeskai deck to deal with also, so I could see that too. Unfortunately, I didn't get to see what he sideboarded. He went a little fast. But his main deck is
quicker next time.
His main deck is probably already geared toward Jeskai, as we talked about, so I wouldn't suspect that he'd have too much to be changing.
All right, they can start, right? Hopefully
yeah.
That.
So Owen's got a Duress and 3 Jaces, so he can go ahead and get a Jace out there, and if it gets removed, he can play another. Duress is excellent in combination with Jace. It's cheap, so it gets in your graveyard, which helps you get to 5 to flip them. But then it's also cheap for flashing back, and it tears apart the control player's hand. So Reed's draw is excellent. It just needs a little bit more mana, which he was able to draw. Reed does have an ultimate price, but unfortunately for him, Owen's just going to play another Jace. He's got a Clash of Wills. I think you can wait and leave up Clash of Wills because Jace he's not going to get 5 cards in his graveyard next turn, you don't think? So this gives you the option to counter something and then ultimate price if he doesn't do anything or next turn. He's going to go ahead and, looks like, do it now to deny Owen the card selection from the looting. Oh, nope, he's going to pass like I thought. So this way it allows him to Clash of Wills, but it's also funny because now most likely Owen's not going to play a second Jace because he has one in play, and then he can end a turn ultimate price and then untap and leave up counter again. But the Duress might thwart that when he gets to look at his hand, and he'll probably end up taking the dig through time anyway, because if he casts Duress, I would imagine Reed's going to ultimate price in response.
It did feel like last game was ultimately won by those dig through times from Reed.
Reed was able to. I think. How many did Reed resolve? 3 or 4? I mean, he even flashed one back with Jace.
I think it was 4 by the end of the game. Honestly, at least he had 3. They flashed back 1 from the Jace at the end.
All right,
it was definitely several more than Owen resolved.
So in response, he's going to go ahead and take out the Jace. I think with this hand, I would most likely take out. I mean, you could say the Clash. I don't think he takes the Ugin or the Utter End because they're just so many turns away and he has Disdainful Stroke. You might say the Clash because then it allows you. No, there's no land you can get. You can get Smoldering Marsh at the end of turn and play Mantis Rider. So then he has to play his 3rd land. You get to untap, and then you have Disdainful Stroke to kind of protect it from the Utter End. So you could say you can leave.
You think the goal is to get out of Mantis Rider, though, or is the goal to get out of Jace?
Well, I don't know. I mean, if you take the Clash of Wills here, you're able to resolve Mantis Rider next turn, assuming he doesn't draw anything. And then you have countered backup to protect it, and you can slip a Jace out there once you get to 4 mana with Disdainful Stroke up later. I don't know. I mean, I think Jace might just be more important right now to land, but getting a Mantis Rider...
The Clash of Will counters either one of them right now, though. I think it... Yeah, because of the Disdainful Stroke, I think it's Clash or Utter End. He goes Utter End.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah, Basic Island for Jace immediately.
Oh, yeah, that's great.
The point, though, is that he can't play a Mantis Rider until he draws another land. Interesting. Do you crack Fetch Land for Basic Island there? I mean, Owen did, so it's probably right, but...
Well, I think you do once you see his hand and realize, hey, I can resolve this Jace now, and he has no way to answer it, so I get to flip it next turn. And he gets to flip it right now.
And
I think he took... Go ahead.
Well, you get the loot to look for red mana, too.
Right, I'm saying he also taking the Utter End allows him to have the option to find a red mana and play Outcast and leave up Stroke still. It allows him to kind of do more things and not have to worry about Utter End. And Clash of Wills, once you know they have it, is a lot easier to play around.
True story. He does not have his red mana, though. Only relevant cards in his hand are Disdainful Stroke and Dig right now.
He's going to be able to flip the Jace also and take the Clash of Wills if he flashes back Duress.
That is a great point. Question is, what do you discard to Jace? I mean, isn't it just Wild Slash?
I think it's Wild Slash, but there's an argument you could be for Dragon Master Outcast right now. I mean, it's definitely not your blue cards, any of the three, I think.
It's not the Mantis Rider. It's got to be the Wild Slash or the Outcast.
Yeah, I was counting Mantis Rider as being blue.
Yeah, sure. I guess he figures he'll get an Energize command to get that back before it becomes relevant.
Yeah, and the Wild Slash does a lot. He doesn't have an answer to any Jaces on the other side, so the Wild Slash...
Yeah, well, he's seen that there are no Wild Slash targets in Reed's hand, but yeah, I think that's Owen guarding against a top deck Jace.
Right, he figures by the time he finds that, I'll have found red mana, and I can just kill it on the cheap and keep the game going.
Yeah, and Reed's hand does nothing for a while unless it top decks a Jace. Interesting little sequence.
I think Reed has to be careful and figure out the exact moment when his chance of winning is pretty much lower than it would be another game. And
yeah, I'm with you. He is down 10 minutes on clock right now. We gave these guys 40 minutes. Now, we always use, setting up games, getting back from breaks and whatnot, but it's all part of the deal.
Yeah, I mean, Reed's got 14 minutes now. I don't think he's thinking about conceding now. He just needs to be conscious, be cognizant of the situation when it's time to concede. And you know what? Yep. This game is kind of out of reach. I don't want to not have time to finish the match. So something to be thinking about. Have we had anybody lose in any of the Super Leagues on time? I mean, there was a moment when Martel could have lost to Menindian on time, but Menindian...
that was going to be hilarious, yes. Martel almost lost to Menindian, which is just one of the most ironic, would have been one of the most ironic results in Super League history, but did not happen. No one has lost on time.
And talking with Menindian right afterwards, he actually was not going to allow... He said he felt like he was going to concede if he was behind. Which is funny because I'm not sure how many of us in that Super League, because we were pretty competitive. I don't know if any of the other 8 of us or 9 of us would have conceded. So
I would concede to a demonstrated combo loop rather than making them go through it.
That I would concede to, yes. Many people did that when someone had a combo. So now we've got the Jace just kind of sitting here doing its thing when he still doesn't have an answer to it. I mean, he is building up to Ugin, but, Owen has 2 Disdainful Strokes in hand. It's going to be pretty hard.
It's pretty good duress for Reed to top 10.
Yeah, I mean...
Although there's 2 Disdainful Strokes. Owen's been sitting on these Disdainful Strokes, but now he has a backup. Even if Reed takes one, Owen still got one. And then Majoring Network is doing pretty good work here. Reed is actually at 8, right?
Right. I mean, he's going to get to a spot. Unfortunately, if there weren't 2, 3, 6, 7, he's still got to wait. He could keep charging up and find a negate, and he can stick an Ugin if he takes one of these strokes. But you kind of want to take dig through time. Is it on Owen to decide, or is? Yeah. So he took the dig through time. I'm shocked. I guess he didn't want to tap out and cast it in response.
I guess
Did Owen play a land yet?
I'm gonna guess no, because
that's a reason to not cast in response, is to leave up stroke, because if you tap out and dig and he just goes land Ugin with that Majoring Network, you're in trouble.
Also, he can flash it back with Jace, right?
Yeah.
Something to be said for leaving cards in your yard when Jace is in play. Majoring Network keeps ticking up.
He just needs to find a counterspell. Although, I guess he saw the hand. He knows he needs 2. I wonder if we're going to get to a Jace Ultimate. I haven't seen a Jace Ultimate take anyone out, but...
If there's a deck that's vulnerable to Jace Ultimate, it's got to be Reed's. When do you think Owen pulls the trigger on this Mantis Rider?
Well, he knows Reed's hand himself too, right? Because he saw it. He knows he
saw it a while ago, but yeah.
I feel like those 3 cards were in it.
At least 2 of them were. At least the Ugin and the Dig.
I think he does it once he has 7 mana so that he can keep up double stroke. because he knows that Reed knows he has he knows that Reed knows he has both strokes. So he knows if Reed goes for it, he's going to be able to protect it. So now he has to have double counterspell to resolve Ugin. Whereas if you tap out for Mantis Rider and he has a counterspell, that Ugin resolves. So
wow.
oh, this is end of turn.
Man.
He's just shocking him and buying back a outcast, which he can play and leave up double stroke.
I like it
because he's got 5 mana. But I guess he doesn't know about the ultimate price because that plays well into ultimate price. He can easily just ultimate price because the ultimate price doesn't kill much other than Tasigur anyways and Soulfire Grandmaster, but that's not as big a threat. It doesn't deal with the Mantis Riders, which are really tough for him to deal with. Jace keeps ticking. It's also kind of gross. He can now double flashback, so he can Kolaghan's Command and Dig Through Time with that Jace if he wants, because it's above 6.
Sure. I mean, this Dragon Master Outcast can just keep coming back.
Looks like we are going to take a Dig Through Time. Nope, no dig.
No, he's charging that Matron Network.
He knows about both strokes.
So how much mana is Reed up to? 6, 10, 13?
So I think the play might be to dig here to bait out a stroke, untap Ugin to bait out a stroke, and then Ugin again to resolve. It's funny, you don't have to kill the Dragon Master right now because he only had 5 land.
Right. Yeah, it feels like it's time for Reed to pick a fight. End step dig, untap Ugin. Then he's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 13 mana. So he cannot play both Ugins.
I mean, maybe he just digs, and then charges, and then waits so he gets to 16 mana so he can double Ugin in one turn. Like, just do this to bait one now.
You do have to kill Dragon Master Outcast now, I think.
He can kill it on his own turn.
Sure, you have to be positive you're going to stick an Ugin, though, before you
No, he can just ultimate price on his own turn.
I understand.
You can charge the Mage Ring now, because I think you want to get to 16 mana, so you can charge the Mage Ring now, untap, and ultimate price it.
Well, I mean, he can also play one Ugin and the ultimate price. If he's plowing through the Disdainful Strokes. Don't forget, he's got a Haven where he's actually got 3 Ugins right now. I think.
Right, like I said, I still think it's just this to kind of bait a stroke, and then Ugin, and then next turn Ugin, just keep popping out, get those strokes out of his hand.
Wow, dig resolves. Anticipate Jace, Utter End, Ojutai's Command. Wow, Owen let this resolve?
Owen knows it's bait. He knows he has 2 Disdainful Strokes, and he knows that he must be up to something, and he also knows Ugin is a way to lose. So I think he's just like, you know what, I'm not taking the bait.
Wow. Yeah, ultimate price has to kill Dragon Master Outcast.
Yeah, like I said, I think he wanted to charge the Mage Ring and do it now because you want to get to a spot where you have 16 mana, so you can Ugin if it gets countered, you can just Ugin again and slam 2 if you want. But that's not really going to work with Owen leaving two strokes up. He's going to be able to get 16 mana worth of spells for 4.
Now what? Owen does not have the 7 mana that it would take to play Mantis Rider and leave up both strokes.
Yeah, and I don't think he wants to put the shields down, so I think he's just going to tick up and pass.
Yeah,
the thing is, the ultimate on Jace is going to happen, and then you can just start casting spells and milling 5. I mean, you only need to cast, he has 37, you only need to cast about 6 spells to get rid of 6, maybe 7 spells, so once you do that, just start casting your cards.
Jace ticks up. Yeah, Owen ships the turn.
Now this is a rough spot because you really want to keep your Jace, but you really know what's happening right here.
Yeah, lets Jace die. Owen is just all in on fighting these Ugins.
The thing is, he's also got Utter End. So, like, right now, Reed has 16 mana. He could Ugin. Oh, wow. But that changes everything.
Oh, duress.
And the thing is, there's no target for the Utter End right now, so he can take the Utter End if he wants. I think Reed's got this one.
Really?
I think Owen being bottlenecked on mana and Reed Mage Ring Network, Reed being able to. I mean, when you have mana, that's the only issue with your control deck. Is if you could start with infinite mana, the control deck would win every time, I think. And Reed's got that to that stage of the game. He's got the mana.
Yeah, it's 15 mana with that duress. But yeah, I think you play one Ugin, You're okay. Oh.
Well, no, yeah,
No.
you don't want to play Ugin now because you just saw he has stroke for that Ugin and utter end for your next Ugin. But you get to leave up command, so you just get to he just saw his whole hand. You just
Yep.
get to work on him with that man land and say, hey, deal with this man land.
And so Owen has to start try to put things on the board so he doesn't just lose to Shambling Vent 8 times. And Reed gets off an Ojutai's command.
Yeah, and it stops him from charging the network one time, but yeah. And you get to play your second if you choose, but he's going to leave up stroke, obviously, because he doesn't want to get Ugined.
Yeah, and Reed draws a replacement.
But having only one stroke, no reason to wait anymore. You can just go ahead and cast that.
Right.
Reed is a master at this deck. I mean, I'm not shocked
insane.
to see that he went so deep in the Pro Tour playing this deck.
Yeah, to be
Very
clear,
impressed.
Reed was playing for top 8 in the last round. Reed lost a win-in the 16th round of the Swiss.
Very impressed by his ability.
Yeah, hits with Shambling Vent. Owen knows the pressure's still on him. He has to go for this Mantis Rider. And Reed drew a replacement Ojutai's command off the last one.
And then he drew Scatter for his draw phase the turn after that. I mean, that's pretty incredible right there.
Unbelievable.
He's going to get to enough mana where he can play Ugin with Scatter backup if he wants. But I think having a backup Ugin...
It's not even clear he needs to play Ugin.
Yeah, you can just win with the man land.
I mean, he can make a Stalking Stones with the Scatter.
And he's got the mana to do it.
Yeah, I mean, if Owen's going to keep leaving 2 mana up for Disdainful Stroke, great, let him. Just don't cast the Ugin. I guess this is decision time. You either have to use your last Scatter or you have to commit to playing an Ugin. Now he can Ugin with Scatter back. Majoring Network is so much mana. Man, this is just awesome.
Majoring Network is really amazing for a control deck, allowing you to play expensive threats and keep mana open to control the board or counter their spells or protect your threats is just important. It's so amazing. Although that Mantis Rider does have to be dealt with, which would mean playing Ugin and bolting it, or finding another removal spell. He does have some turns. He's not in any immediate danger.
Right. I mean, it's time to try to stick an Ugin. I don't know if you just feed one. I don't think it's that bad to just feed an Ugin into that Disdainful Stroke. He's got a backup Ugin and he's got a Haven, so... The only question here is whether you're going to follow up the first Ugin with a second after Owen commits his Disdainful Stroke.
9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 16, 19. You can actually Ugin Stroke, Ugin Scatter if you want.
He can Ugin Scatter? That's absurd. That's got to be the line then. You Ugin again, and you can counter the other end. Ball game.
Well, if it's not ball game, it's pretty close.
Reed Duke, ladies and gentlemen.
Ugin Scatter, all in one turn. This has been cast.
Yeah, kill your Mantis Rider. Oh my! Dispel all of a sudden tilts back to Owen. He's going to get to kill the Ugin.
Unfortunately, I guess, and then Tasigur lives, and Tasigur actually is going to be in play. He gets to Utter End, Dispel backup. That's 5 mana. And then just slam a Tasigur. And what's Reed? Reed's going to have a Jace, a draw phase, and a manland against Tasigur. It's not going to cut it. So he's going to go for it in Reed's upkeep, so that if Reed does any of this, it does tap him out.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, yeah, he does have a Haven in play, though, and an Ugin in his graveyard. So he will be able to play an Ugin next turn.
Yeah, Reed goes for Scatter without the Awaken.
Unfortunately, if you look at this, though, he's going to Ugin. He's going to have to -6 to kill Tasigur, and then the Wild Slash that he took will be able to finish off Ugin. That Wild Slash that he took so much earlier is actually going to come into play at taking out an Ugin, maybe. Although this Jace might be good enough bait.
Yeah, I think this Wild Slash is going to take out the Jace, which is exactly what Owen's plans were for it. How many turns ago? 13 turns ago?
Yeah, the only thing is he does see the Haven in play, and he does know, well, an Ugin is going to come out, and it is going to do -6 if I have a Tasigur in play, so I do need to make sure I can deal with an Ugin on one counter.
You're not going to let Reed have a Jace. Is Reed going to play the Jace?
No, Reed didn't cast the Jace.
Wow.
Well, he doesn't know that that's his hand, so I guess Reed wanted to bluff and bring back the wild. I don't know. Reed knows he has a wild slash in his hand because Reed saw that when he duressed him.
Right. That's right.
But I think you actually would want to get that out of his hand because, like I said, if you play Ugin and minus it on the Tasigur, he's going to be able to just bolt it.
So you would feed Jace to the wild slash?
I might. I mean, think about what happens to Ugin right now. If you Ugin, you have to kill the Tasigur. You have to -6.
Maybe Reed figures, okay, great. I'll trade Ugin for Tasigur plus wild slash, then I'll stick a Jace. Oh, and of course gets this Tasigur activation. Oh, by the way, Reed's clock is at 7 minutes and it's game 2. So, I mean, basically Reed needs to win this game.
Although, if Reed's in a commanding position, them being such good friends, I actually would see Owen saying, listen, you're winning this game. You win the match.
I could totally see Owen saying that. I don't think Reed can get to a commanding position in 5 minutes. So here's Tasigur. Tasigur flipped a couple Mystic Monasteries, so many cards in Owen's yard for Reed to choose from.
Yeah, I don't want to particularly give him any of those.
Utter End. Good lord. That was the card to give him?
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to give him a Manus Rider. At least Utter End, you can just not play permanents, until you find an answer for it. Whereas giving him a Mantis Rider, you have to find you're already looking for an answer to Tasigur. You don't want to give him another creature because then you're up against it. You don't want to give him a Kolaghan's Command when you've got one card in your hand, and you definitely don't want to give him Dig Through Time. Unfortunately, it looks like Utter End might have been the best thing to get.
Wow, Surge of Righteousness can kill Tasigur.
Unfortunately, Utter End gets rid of Ugin.
I guess Surge of Righteousness doesn't kill Tasigur fast enough, so you have to go for the Ugin. Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah.
You don't want to give him 2 Tasigur activations.
Yeah, I mean, I guess giving him Utter End too, he can't cast it now, and you force him to tap it on his own turn, although with no real cards in hand and that much mana, it doesn't really matter.
So here is the Ugin. There is the -6.
Wow, the fact that this Wild Slash can just take out Ugin is kind of funny.
Guy, the fact that Owen was like, I'm going to save this on turn 3. He was activating his turn 2 Jace. It's like, I don't have any red mana, but this might matter a million years from now.
Oh, wow.
Totally
So now this is great. He gets to get back a Mantis Rider if he wants, or a Jace for the long game. I imagine he goes for a Mantis Rider, and then it's going to get surged, but let's see if he's going to make Reed discard a card. Yeah, he's making Reed discard.
Sure.
So Reed kind of has to keep the surge. He can see the targets, and if he sees it's Mantis Rider, he can keep the surge, which he did. Yep. Jace has to go anyway. He has Utter End, but unfortunately, this is looking bad for Reed just on time. Even if he takes this out, and they both have, I guess no, Shambling Vent. Owen's at 9, and Utter End can't kill a land. I forgot about Shambling Vent. Reed's going to get this with Shambling Vent. What answers does he have to Shambling Vent? He has to find a creature and stick it that can block.
So Owen's got 4 turns where he dies to Shambling Vent. That's where we're at.
And other than that, it's parity, really. I mean, Utter End gets rid of whatever he draws, but yeah.
Unbelievable.
Here we go.
Down to 5.
Another land.
Fire off the top.
And it's brutal that both his lands are Bloodstained Mires because he can't even use them to sort of thin the deck because going to 4 decreases the clock by 1 full turn.
Redraws a Dispel, so he can defend something from the Utter End now.
Reed is going to win.
Shambling Vent knocks Owen to 3. Reed's clock turns red.
Uh-oh. A lively creature right back.
Wow.
So he's going to put him to 1, but he can attack back up to 3. And if he gets to untap, he's got Utter End with buyback.
Not that there's much to point the Utter End at right now.
But there might be soon. But this is he's stuck at 3. He's eternally at 3 right now with this little exchange. He didn't activate. I guess it's the same thing.
Oh, he's leaving it on defense, which works out the same. Tasigur.
Tasker
The
to
3
busted
Tassigers that Pantheon put into the Start Jeskai list, looking spectacular.
looking spectacular for burning that clock.
Well, a little bit of that too. Yeah, 4.5 minutes for Reed. Stand by my claim. He has to win this 2-0.
Yeah, at this point, it's impossible to kind of concede and start a third game because you can't
Yeah.
win a third pretty much in 4.5 minutes. So you might as well do your best to win this game.
For whatever it's worth, this was a Pro Tour match. He wins it 1-0.
That is true. Although, if the clock disparity is that big, if this is a Pro Tour match, you might have already got warnings and game loss for slow play.
Maybe.
Your clock is a full 13 minutes lower than your opponent's.
Ojutai's command. What does that do? Tassiger says, give me some.
How much time was on Reed's clock when we started the match? Because he was first. So did we have a lot of waiting for hand cams? I mean, is he down 6?
Was he first in game 1?
He was. He did win the initial die roll. I'm just wondering if he was down 5, 7 minutes, something crazy.
No, it wasn't that much.
Ugh. This is a gross spot. So I guess he's going to have to draw a card and gain 4. But he needs planar outburst. That's what he needs. So the chat is saying Reed started with 35 minutes on his clock when it started. Someone said 34.
I mean, the league rules say if it's, a 10-minute break, we're going to give you, remake the game, give you the time back, but not for 5 minutes.
Now people are saying 32. It's like it just keeps changing. Pretty soon it'll be started with 4 minutes on its clock. Right?
It's like when chat sees lethal damage on board. It's never actually there.
Yeah, someone just said 25 minutes. So yeah, I guess we don't know. But
yeah, that Tassiger is just taking over this game.
Yeah, and he's not wisely not attacking into like a surge with it. Although now that he has a dispel, he can risk that and send it in there.
I don't know. There's something almost poetic about these guys. Peach Garden Oath battling each other to 1-1.
It's kind of nice if it goes 1-1 and then no one wins, because then neither of them can claim they beat the other, really. They're like, hey, we came to a draw, but you took a little longer.
It's almost poetic.
So he's going to buy back Kolagon's command, which is actually pretty gross. Murderous Cut is going to be able to take out Tassiger, though. And he's got Dispel to back up his Dispel. Oh, so he's just going to Dispel it. Interesting. It's funny. If he responds and Murderous Cuts, Owen might respond with Dispel and the Cut, and then you could Dispel the Dispel, and you would still have to discard a card, but he would lose the Tasker, but he would have Kolagon's command with buyback, so I don't know.
Yeah.
All right, so he concedes to Owen.
3 minutes. What are the odds? Reed concedes with 3 minutes left on his clock.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, at that point, I think I might just try to win the game. But maybe he just realizes that, if he's way ahead in those 3 minutes, say Owen just gets mana screwed and mulligans to 3, maybe Owen will concede. I don't know. He did bring in the Dragonlord Sulamgars. I mentioned that earlier when we were looking. We didn't really get to see. He brought in the Dragonlord Sulamgars. He brought in the... Let's see, how many Duress was he starting? He brought in the Duresses, the Dispels, 2 Dragonlord Sulamgars, 1 more Murderous Cut. The chat says remake for game 3. We want an epic game 3. I mean, it is a little sad to not see it come to its conclusion because both these games have been phenomenal. They've been really incredible, which is what happens when you have two players who are this good with their decks, who know the matchups, and neither of them kind of get mana screwed. You get to see a full match play out. You do get some excellent magic. I mean, this match has been better than some of the matches in the top of the Pro Tour that I saw because a lot of those were decided by hands and mulligans. I mean, this has been
not a super high bar with the most recent Pro Tour, unfortunately. The first match is insane, but we did not. We had more than normal number of non-matches.
Yeah, I mean, Finkel had some amazing games against in the quarterfinals or the semifinals. The semifinals against the Japanese guy on the Jeskai deck. Those games were incredible. That's actually when I woke up. I forgot it started so early, me being on the West Coast, and I woke up just in time for the semifinals. So I had to watch the replays of the quarterfinals. But man, it's exciting. I can't wait to get back there one day and get to play on a Sunday myself, if it ever happens again. So I guess Owen is he's hit submit.
All right. Get ready for speed magic.
Now, see, this is classy. Reed Duke writes in our chat, I lose fair and square. He accepts, hey, the timer is part of it. I'm not going to win, and hey, I accept that. So class act, as we all know and many have talked about, but it'll be interesting for these guys to maybe after have like a bonus coverage. We get him back on and just play a one last game, for everybody to see.
Did Reed take multiple mulligans here?
Yeah, it looked like Reed mulligan to 5.
I think it was presumably trying to mulligan to a victory condition.
Yeah, which is almost impossible with his deck against the Jeskai deck.
Yeah, we're trying to get our game score updated. It is now 1-1. Owen won game 2.
And it looks like with that mulligan and Owen's hand is turbocharged.
Yeah, Owen's
obviously from here. It's hard to predict the future as we've seen these games go back and forth, but it looks like with this mulligan that Owen has quite an advantage right now.
Yep. Yeah, it almost makes me feel better that this game is shaping up to be lopsided. I'm with you. I mean, it's nice to watch great players play great Magic. At the same time, I mean, the league rules are pretty clear. We have been in this match for well over an hour, and there's 5 more matches coming.
Yeah, I mean, if every match goes this long, we're not going to make it.
We'll be here for a while. Wow, yeah. Duress is presumably the dig.
Yeah, he's just going to leave him with the Dispel and nothing if he wants. He could also take the Dispel knowing he has a stroke for his dig. That's a little riskier, but I think if you know the game only has 2 minutes to go, he's not going to, you can just take the dig, the cards that are kind of proactive, and leave them with reactive cards and let the time run out.
Yeah. Although I believe Owen would rather just play to win. He's not going to play for the clock out here, I don't think.
No, and also it's of note, Duress has lifelink. It's like how it's written on Duress, lifelink.
Technically true. Soulfire Grandmaster gives all your instants and sorceries lifelink.
So he took the dig, leaving him with just a Dispel and mana.
Yep.
Ooh. I mean, there is a stroke and nutter end, but with that Mage Ring, he can get that guy out there.
Oh, Dragonlord Silumgar.
Give me a Jace. Although taking a Jace is bad because if it flips, it goes back to your opponent. So if you take it, you just have to make sure you don't use it.
Also, there's a disdainful stroke in Owen's hand.
Yeah. I was saying if it resolved. I think you would just take the Jace, but not so that you can flip it, just to deprive Owen of having his own Jace.
Interestingly, could he have taken an extra mana off Mage Ring to leave up Dispel there?
I
actually could have, right?
Yeah, he could have.
Could have left up Dispel. I mean, Owen also has an Utter End, but
you do force him to use it.
Right. And now Owen Jace flips, so he goes back to duress the Dispel. Owen's going to dig through time. Yeah. Owen may win this before Reed's clock falls.
Yeah, I mean, I think Owen's going to try at least.
He is certainly a million miles ahead. So the interesting question left is, does somebody lose on time for the first time, or does Owen beat him in 2 minutes?
I think Owen can beat him with the speed they're playing. I mean, Reed's turns are only taking off a few seconds of the clock each time.
I mean, the Ugin does make things a little interesting. Is Owen going to be able to leave up Disdainful Stroke all the time? Yeah, it looks like he is.
Yeah, I mean, right now there's no reason for him to ever tap any mana again with this on the
Right.
board. Ace.
Returns.
I mean, not right 5, yeah, because he can only do 9. I'll say he can wild slash, flashback, wild slash in addition to the 5 in play. But that's Reed went to 9 with the fetch land. He can actually stroke this, attack him for 5, wild slash, flashback, wild slash, and win the match.
Wow.
So he's actually going to be able to win with Reed having 1:35 on the clock.
Crazy. Owen Turtenwald, ladies and gentlemen. He didn't go for it. Oh, he still can, right?
Yeah, he can just do it now.
Yeah.
And Owen's not going to miss lethal.
Nope. Owen Turtenwald is going to go to the semifinals, so he's earned himself a win-in from the Super League Championship point of view. Great 2 games of Magic, and Owen had that 3rd game won from multiple angles. Realistically, would have been very hard for Reed to win it before his clock fell, but Owen took that out of play. Just kind of beat him up.
And now Owen knows he gets to face a mirror match, which I'm sure he has plenty of practice against. I mean, they had to expect the deck.
And their deck is well set up for that mirror match, too. I mean, the Black Splash is particularly good, although both Tom and... I don't know.
No, it's a literal mirror match. It is. They're both dark.
Just copy the Pantheon list? They probably did, right?
I think they did when I was looking at it. They might be at most 3 cards off, but I'm pretty sure it's all. They both have the 3 Kolagons. They both have a Kolagons command. They both have 3 Tassigers. There's very little difference, if any. I haven't really analyzed, but I think it's an actual 75 card, or at least 60 card mirror. I don't know if their sideboards are different. But Owen's going to be prepared for it, whereas Tom played something different in the Pro Tour, and I don't think Kenji played. So Owen's going to have the advantage of knowledge of the matchup.
Makes sense. All right. We are going to take a real quick break. We are going to be back momentarily with the 2nd match of the night. Numat the Nummy enters the arena. We'll find out whether he or Tom Martell can earn the spot across from Owen Turtenwald in the win-in. Stay tuned, guys. We'll be right back.